Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Z Hervasio. In tonight's game plan, we'll talk about the top 4 teams in the 2022 PVL Reinforced Conference.
And we'll be going through some of our top picks and predictions in the ongoing FIFA World Cup 2022. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. The cast is complete for the 2022 PVL Reinforced Conference semifinals. The Grand Slam seeking Creamline Cool Smashers, Chery Tiggo Crossovers, defending champions Petro Gazz Angels, and the Cignal HD Spikers are now in the Final Four. Cignal earned the last spot after taking down the Choco Mucho Flying Titans in 4 sets. See, I'm really sorry you're my co-host for this segment in particular. But anyway, to tell us more about what to expect from the remaining teams, we have with us volleyball analyst Noreen Go. Noreen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Yes,
So,
very
grabe.
exciting.
Noreen, this has been a wild race to the semifinals. A lot of predictions were made, a lot of predictions were broken. Not gonna lie, a lot of my own predictions were broken as well. But let us preview what is to come right now. I think Petro Gazz Creamline is a good place to start because of the history there, is in particular with Petro Gazz being the defending champion. So what do you make of this matchup?
For me, I would say, a lot of talk saying who's more favorable to win, right? I mean, we would have to say, really, because of this year, it's still Creamline.
Yeah.
Creamline is still the intact team. Not to mention, for me, they represented the country.
Right.
So the experience they got from there was priceless, and they're obviously going to bring it into today's game, into actually the semifinals, and hopefully for them the finals. So for Petro Gazz, for me, every time it's a reinforced conference, they have this spirit,
Right.
no?
Yeah.
Renewed
You're right.
spirit. So they're going to take that and their foreign guest player, and they're going to make a really tough match, especially tomorrow.
It's crazy that you mentioned that kasi talagang parang there's some sort of rivalry that has been between these two
Yeah.
teams brewing up over the years. But what do you think who do you think will make the difference? You mentioned here it maybe the setters will dictate the tempo.
For me, because each team has already played, 8 games
Yeah.
each.
Right.
So we can see the progress. Each team has gotten better, arguably, but for me, a lot of these teams has gotten better. They have polished different skills, like the middle blocking, the opposite. So for me, since, given that being equal, that being said, you have the foreign guest players. All the guest players are slowly but surely gelling with the team. They're blending in already. So I feel really the key person per team right now will be the setter because they have to take risks.
Right.
They have to make, decision making. And I know there's a system in place. I know that. We know that.
Yeah.
But it's how they adapt to certain situations that will be key for victory for me.
What did you see in the the prelims that worked for both these teams that you feel would be a difference maker pagdating sa semis? Because we've seen them already throughout different adversity. We've seen them all throughout different situations. But then what do you think could they bring into the semis that would make a big difference here for both teams?
For me, I was looking at the previous games. In these 4 teams that's in the semifinals, none of their games went straight sets. It's at least 4 or 5, right? So it goes to show, and we're talking about from the start of the elimination round, right? Leading to the semifinals. And like we said, they have all gotten better. So what will they bring to the semifinals? For me, number 1 for Creamline, again, we have to go back to the experience they got from representing the country. I think that's going to be big because we see them challenged. They
Yeah.
even lost the game, but they're still on top.
Yeah.
They're still in prime position to hopefully for them win the reinforced conference.
And let's not forget, the semifinals is another round robin for
Exactly.
these teams. So
Yeah.
very exciting series na
Yeah.
naman. Let's move on to the second matchup at Cignal versus Chery Tiggo. What are the keys to winning for these two teams? Alam natin, Cignal has always been like almost there.
Yeah.
But what do you think will finally break that streak for them.
For me, the last few games of Cignal should be a confidence booster for
You're
them.
right.
And they should take from that, the momentum. I know it's a cliche when I always say, you have to take from the momentum and blah, blah, blah. But it's true because they played their final games really, really good and they're hoping that they gelled at the right time. We always say, we hope that they're peaking at the right time, coming to the semifinals. Now for Chery, for me, a lot of doubts. A lot of people are saying, Chery, how come they're playing so well, right? But they proved that they're in the semifinals,
Yeah.
right? Even given the previous conferences wherein they weren't that successful. I feel the key for Chery, very important, Mylene Pat, because she's playing like a foreign guest player.
Yeah.
For as long as she does, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
a big chance.
We saw a lot of that throughout the conference, especially early on in the conference, and it felt like once their spot was secured, maybe a bit tapered off. But then, is this going to be a matchup based on the recent momentum? Nakita natin yung Cignal as of late are hopefully, for them, starting to peak at the right time. Chery naman medyo nag-taper off from a very, very high start. Do you think that that will follow through in the next round, or should we do with all of that away and say that, no, this is the beginning of a new round of quote-unquote momentum?
I would say there are certain teams like Cignal who will ride on momentum because they struggled throughout the conference.
Yeah.
But like you said, I totally agree with what you said. For the others, it's more of let's forget it. You know, let's learn from the past games, the past 8 games that everyone has played, and then we bring what we learned to make us a better team come semifinals.
All right, Ms. Noreen, let's go back to what you mentioned earlier. Let's talk about the reinforcements.
Yeah.
Some reinforced, the foreign players have been a key in some of the teams. Yung iba parang medyo...
Role player, eh.
Yeah, parang
in some ways. Yeah. But then when you look at the list that we have here, what can we expect from these girls? And who needs to step up a bit more to push their team to the next level?
For me, I totally agree with what you said.
Yeah.
You don't need me anymore.
No, I mean, like, we're throwing it out to you here because we can't. Yeah, no, we'll leave it to you.
Okay, Ms. Noreen, go.
No, I totally agree when it comes to Cignal, Chery, and Creamline. The foreign guest players are role players, you know, because they're such a complete team and, you know, such explosive offensive players. So, you know, they become role players.
Okay.
But for Petro Gazz, I feel because this is their conference, no? Their conference to defend, they really rely a lot on their foreign guest players. So, when we see the scores, normally like Basa, Vieira, et al., no? They will score like 17, 16. But Van der Weide will score 27.
So much.
Yeah.
24. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
She's a
then
cannon.
you see the difference, right? So that's what I feel. Petro Gazz will rely a lot on them, but for Creamline, it's smooth sailing, and Chery and Cignal as well.
That's going to be really interesting. And you know what? Can't wait to see that scene.
Super, but let's stay here, let's stay put, because we'll talk about more about the PVL and catch the 2022 PVL Reinforced Conference semifinals live on One Sports Plus, Cignal Play, and Smart Giga Play. And after the break, we'll find out which floor generals stood out the most at the end of the eliminations. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. While the reinforced conference features a number of hard-hitting foreign players, the real heroes are the ones that keep the ball alive. Still with us to talk about the top defensive specialist is PVL analyst Miss Noreen Go.
All right.
here.
Still here. Still here. Thank goodness. So, let's start out first. Since we're talking about defense here, I think Diggers is the way to go to start out first. So, when you look at the Diggers, Mr. Reen, you looked at the stats, and of course, there's an interesting list we have here. What do you make from this particular list, and who do you feel surprised you the most in terms of at least the statistical output as we see the list there on screen?
Yeah, you know, I like that we're talking about these names now because like the number one in the list is Angela Nunag. When we saw the stats, everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah, really.
I mean, from out of nowhere.
Crazy. Yeah.
And the irony of it all is Army didn't even win a single match, right?
Yeah.
But she's number one. It just goes to show that, you know, that could be the plan for Army. You know, the future is, okay, you have sound defense in
build from
Nunag.
Yes.
You build from there. You're right. You know, you build on how to get better, but your defense is okay. You're in a good place. So for me, Nunag had a crazy conference, and we're just so happy that, you know, her name stood out because she has been playing well.
All right, nothing new with the number 2 on your list, Kayla Atienza.
Yeah, nothing new. And of course, Buding Dorendes coming out at number 3. You take a look at this, number 1 and number 2 teams have their liberos in the top 3. How much of a difference will that make?
Well, same. If we go back to having sound defense, these teams are obviously comfortable already with the fact that their defense is set. You know, so if with our defense, I mean, for the teams, if they look at it, with our defense set in Kylie Atienza and Buding Dorendes, both top 10, I think, in both digging and receiving, then we have to focus on the other things we want to get better at. Maybe blocking, maybe, you know, our combination play. So it gives you the edge if you know that your defense is sound and these players have got your back. Got the whole back.
Yeah.
Of everybody.
Everybody.
All right, let's move on to the best receivers this time. But before we go through your list, Ms. Noreen, how has been the first ball? The very crucial thing in this reinforced conference. Parang medyo highlight din siya ng whether or not one
team wins or loses. Yeah, it makes a difference.
Huge difference.
We always hear in every huddle is really one good pass.
One good pass.
One good pass. We hear that all the time. And because it's true, it makes a big difference. I mean, the first ball will really, you know, show if your team is like stable. Or are they rattled at this game now? We can take advantage.
I was going to say that maybe we hear it all the time because it never happens enough for the coaches. But then could be right. But then no, we all joking aside, we'll focus on the best receivers now. At least statistically speaking, we have the list here. It's Catarado, Jamagalanza, and Odina Alieva, and only one foreign guest player rather on this list. What does that say about the type of receiving that Catarado and Jamagalanza produce here?
Catarado, for me, no stranger to being a great receiver, a great digger, or a best libero, right? I mean, when we saw the list based on the stats, I'm like, okay, another day in the office for Catarado.
Yeah.
But Gemma Galanza, for me, we know that she's really an offensive threat, and you love it when players really evolve into being complete players, that they develop their defense as well. No surprise because she has been really good in terms of defense. But yeah, it's good to highlight the foreign guest player because you mentioned it, just one, meaning our locals are actually playing really well, given that's a reinforced conference, and you should be happy because what do you want really is the level of volleyball to keep going up, you know, and the fans will really enjoy the games more.
Yeah. Sorry, Z, I'm going to turn you a bit on the analyst here kasi syempre, I'm looking at this list right now. Si Catarado with 105 excellent receptions, and you look at this efficiency here, it's 56.1%. Is that when you play against a person like Catarado, or at least, let's say, when you play against a Catarado, is that already part of your mind as someone who does attack, that Catarado can really pass, can really really make a big difference on the team?
Of course, definitely. That would always be part of your game plan, part of your scouting reports, part of your plan moving forward when facing the PLDT high-speed hitters. Like, una sa lahat, first order of things laging saan natin dadalhin yung service.
Yeah.
Service is the first line of attack, and as much as possible, you wanna send it to someone who's gonna shank the ball, and definitely it's not gonna be
It's not going to be Catarado. No.
Definitely not.
100%. So we'll now move on to the blockers here.
Yes.
And the blocking, there have been a lot of great blocks here this conference, especially when you see the locals stepping up to the foreign reinforcements, and there's always a big battle in the net. So we're going to bring out the list here of the top blockers this conference. And leading the list is Remy Palma, followed by Ivy Laxina, and then Rosalind Doria. Again, all locals here in this list, Noreen. When you take a look at that, are there any big surprises for you? Are there any people that you're not surprised are on this list?
Not surprised, but like when you talked about Nunag playing so well, what about
Yes.
Remy Palma?
Yes.
I mean, when I saw her this contest, I'm like, she's so fit. She lost a lot of weight. She's in fighting form. And then she performs this way, being number one in blocking, being the top blocker. So for me, that in itself is a big reason, a big factor why Petro Gazz is in the semifinals. Given the previous conferences when they were struggling.
Yeah.
Because of players like Remy Palma stepping up and playing so much better.
And I think I wanted to add something. Si Remy, she visited FEU before the conference started, and I just remembered how, since college, this lady has been like all heart.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no matter how, say, fit she is in a season, in a conference, her heart would always be 100%. And I think that's what could bring them all the way to the finals and maybe win the chip.
I'm also a big fan of just seeing the close-ups of her, and then just wondering how it feels to be staring right across her sa net, because she looks so fierce. It's
And then
incredible.
she'll smile at you.
And then you don't know if you did something wrong.
Yeah.
Again, Ms. Noreen, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for joining us to talk about the defensive players here. And of course, let's see what happens in the semifinals. Really excited for that. Thank you.
Excited.
So, after the break, we're going through some bold predictions and top picks in the ongoing FIFA World Cup 2022. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Welcome back to The Game. The FIFA World Cup 2022 is firing on cylinders, and after witnessing an epic upset courtesy of Saudi Arabia, it's about time to break out the predictions. And joining us tonight to give us his top picks for the World Cup is two-time UAAP MVP and guest analyst for the game, Jarvey Gayoso.
Jarvey.
Hello.
How are you? Kamusta ka?
Thank you, I'm fine.
You know, Jarvey, we had to get you here because I know you know how to score goals and you're not afraid of fighting people. I'm here to fight you. Z is here to be the mediator. So, Z, what do you have for us here?
Oh, we're getting straight into
Oh,
it.
no,
my
wait,
goodness,
sorry.
lang. Wala
Oo
pang
nga.
warm-up. Usually kasi diba nagwo-warm up tayo?
Oo,
mga
okay.
athletes.
Sige,
But
sige.
Okay. Let's start with the picks, Pao. Okay lang ba yun?
Wait, no. We have to talk about this muna. Jarvey,
Okay. What happened
Argentina,
yesterday?
Saudi Arabia, ano nangyari? Ano yung reaction mo dun?
It was very surprising actually to see Saudi Arabia beating Argentina like that. But I'm not surprised. It's the World Cup. You know, anything can happen once you get into the big stage. You do whatever you can to represent your country well, and Saudi Arabia did that. They played with heart. I just want to say that Argentina is a predicted champion this World Cup.
Yeah.
And Spain lost in the 2010, their first game.
Yeah.
They lost in the 2010, their first game. So who knows? Maybe they're just following up on that same story.
Maybe. But then I would call you a liar right now for saying that you're not surprised. You were surprised, okay? We were all
All
surprised.
right. In case you missed it, let's, in layman's terms lang, katulad ko. Kasi naman, Saudi Arabia is the second lowest ranked team in the tournament. And
Yeah.
they beat Team Argentina. And
Yeah.
you know kung sino yung nandun?
Yeah.
Yung Messi lang
A
naman.
guy named Lionel Messi.
Parang goat ata yun, I heard.
Oo. But that time the
But
goat got
yesterday,
cooked. Oh
yes.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, eto na, the best exciting part of tonight. Jarvey versus Pao. Let's get on to the top picks. Okay, who are your dark horse teams? Let's go with Jarvey's pick first, Team Belgium.
Yeah. So I chose Belgium because they've been consistently making it to the knockout stages of the World Cup. They're fairly complete and a healthy squad. They're balanced all around, and they made it to the semis last World Cup. So I think it's a great sign that they're actually capable of making it all the way to the finals.
My problem with that, Jarvey, is that they made it to the semis 4 years ago. Who's to say that 4 years later it's gonna happen again? But then Belgium, they're at the tail end of their golden generation. So I don't know whether or not they haven't won it yet. And I think 4 years ago was the best time for them to win it. I don't know if they can actually go through that hump right now with their advanced age. Ako personally, I'm going with a team who's one of their star players and their core actually is pretty young, which is the Netherlands. So Hop Holland Hop, because they played great in their first game. Well, I wouldn't say great. I've seen the levels that they can reach, but then I would say that they still had an entertaining brand of football. They were young. They were exciting. There was a good mix of veterans there for old Manchester United fans. Like, oh, Daley Blind's still playing. Good. Yay. But a lot of great future talent as well, and I think that they have that right mix and balance to potentially get out of, not just out of their group, but go on a longer run.
All right, I expected this. Pao will be rambling
Yeah.
all night long.
Yeah.
And let's just get to the second thing on this list, the Golden Boot Award. Jarvey's pick is Romelu Lukaku from Belgium once again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually deciding between Batshuayi and Lukaku, but I gotta go with Belgium's top scorer. He scored 6-8 for the national team, and with World Cup experienced midfielders like Carrasco, Witsel, and De Bruyne, who better to feed than your top scorer, right? So given any ball, a ball given by De Bruyne, I'm pretty sure Romelu Lukaku will be confident enough to convert as many goals as he can.
Yeah, you know, I look at Romelu Lukaku
How?
and I understand his point. He's just high on Belgium and I'm not as high on Belgium, so that's why I don't think Romelu Lukaku will win it. I personally have one of Jarvey. Look, Jarvey actually likes this guy because he's wearing one of his shirts right now, and
Right.
Kylian Mbappe. So Kylian Mbappe for the French team, he scored already against Australia yesterday. He, you know, a lot of people, even those who don't watch a lot of football, will probably know him because he's the cover of FIFA. But he's not the cover of FIFA for nothing. This guy has been on point on a team with Lionel Messi and Neymar on the club level. So bring that international, and he is going to be one of the key focal points for one of the favorites of the entire tournament. I think it's a safe bet that Kylian Mbappe is going to be one of the guys who will lead the charge for France.
All right, let's get to the next bet. Between
Bet talaga, no?
You mentioned it.
Yeah.
Ooh, did you guys
Okay,
bet last
good.
night?
No, I did not, thank God.
All right, best young player to watch. We got Jarvey's pick from Spain, Ansu Fati.
Yeah, Ansu Fati at the age of 20 has already become a star and a household name for Barcelona. With the tandem of Busquets, Gavi, and Pedri, I know that the Spain squad is also heavily filled with Barcelona players. I think 17 are Barcelona players. So as a young guy coming into the World Cup, you'd feel more comfortable to shine knowing that the guys around you are guys that you consistently train with, even outside of the national team.
I like Ansu Fati as a pick. I'm still going my Cody Gakpo. I think that he's going to be great for the Netherlands, and I think that people should watch out for him. Jarvey Gayoso, I can tell you right now, did not know who Cody Gakpo was before this competition. And I had to say that you have to Google this guy. He did.
I know him now.
And now he regrets
out,
not
guys.
picking him. All right,
All right, okay. Last but not the least, the World Cup winner this time. Jarvey, who's your pick?
Okay, so the team that I wanted to do well and eventually win the World Cup is France. I know that there's been this World Cup curse that title holders don't usually make it out the group stage, and everybody wants to see that curse be broken. I want to see that curse be broken. I know that there's still a star-studded squad despite the key losses of Kimpembe, Kante, and Benzema.
Yeah.
But the Dembele, Mbappe, and Giroud tandem on top,
They're deep.
super deadly.
They're deep. All right, and just so everyone knows, my pick is Brazil, but I don't have enough time to explain that. Brazil is good. That's all I'm saying. They're
Everybody's
good.
looking out for these two teams. Thank you, Jarvey. Sorry, konti na lang yung time natin. We'll pick up from this conversation next time, all right?
Walang extra time dito, sorry.
All right, thanks, Jarvey.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Z Hervasio.
And I'm Paulo De Rosario. This has been The Game.